Testing, testing, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right. So here we are. Let's go ahead and look at what we got over here with the low floats. So we have FTAL, TAOP, MENDR, and below that is pretty much below 10%. So we're going to stick with the ones that have made it over 10% here. So starting off with FTAL, we saw FTAL yesterday moving, and it was one of those that kind of had a little chop, a little pop out the 160, but very cheap, especially with all the other competition on the day. But it is leading the day today. The news from yesterday was that it is doing a $3 million share repurchase, right? And so $3 million share repurchase means that this company is trying to grow. It's trying to do something. I don't know what they're doing or what partnerships they're aiming for or what acquisitions, but they're trying to repurchase their shares, which will be taking shares out of the tradable market, right? So if their float is whatever 2,432 and the outstanding shares, I know it's much lower in the float if that's the shares outstanding. So I mean, I don't know how much dilution they can really do. It's already a low float, so I mean, making it even more. And I don't know if they've actually ended up starting to buy yet. And that's another thing that we're kind of like, are they buying yet or what? But they just announced that they're doing a $3 million share repurchase. Let's go look over here on the news. So let's see. Um, and this is a fitness equipment or gym of fit online retailer of gym and fitness equipment in Australia. Let's see. So over the next 24 months, so 2 years, and we don't know when they're buying. We don't know what they're doing. So they got a 2 year period just to collect those shares. So that's nothing that's looking like it's going to be um, super buoyant right now. You know, let's look over here on the main. So TAOP is another one that we saw up here. This is a Chinese stock. It is blocked on TOS. So I already tried to take a little practice trade just to see, but it's a Chinese stock and they are not playing with these Chinese stocks. They're blocking pretty much everything that comes up as Chinese. Um, MNDR, let's see what it's talking about. No catalyst on today. No catalyst across the board, actually. So we have to wait and see what comes up. But for right now, something needs to come up and defeat FTAIL. Take the steam out of it. Hit a high up here of 203. ATR is at the 158. We don't really see any structure. The lows of pre-market were down here at 123. And we're looking for it to crash out. Looking for it to crash out something like this. So a crash out of maybe 160-ish is going to be looking really weak, 20 cents or 30 cents from where it is right now. But it has 19 million, so it definitely has some kind of liquidity to get it moving downwards. I really don't know if it's going to be going up with that kind of catalyst. TAOP, they had news from yesterday as well. It says that Taoping shares are trading higher after the company signed a supplemental agreement to acquire 100% of a target company for 21.36 billion. A target company. They don't do any names. Okay, so that's fishy. That is fishy. All right, in the higher floats, we see that Irene is leading out here. IREN. It is down, even though the overall market is up. So let's go overall market. So we can see that there was a little bit of sideways action after this dip, coming back up here and continue to try to hold this trend that we marked from back when. Let me see if I can. Oh, it's on the monthly. I think it's on the, well, let's do weekly. Okay, so weekly. It's a weekly chart. We saw it start to form a trend back here, and this has just been here the whole time. From October all the way over, and it's just been bouncing off this trend. Let's go back to the 15 minutes. Okay, and now, you know, it looks like it's hitting its head up here, but it just continues to hold this trend upward. All right, so let's see what the news is talking about, if we can see anything that's on topic this morning. All right, why the tug of war in stocks will keep playing out. AI bubble fears make the contest between value and growth stocks interesting, RBC says. Crypto traders hit hard as strategy ETFs plunge 80%. Yeah, Bitcoin has been throwing down, man. OpenAI's Altman declares ChatGPT code red as rivals gain. Marvel in talks to buy a startup. Celestial AI in multi-billion-dollar deal. So Marvel being mentioned there. Let me notate that. When are they buying that? Let's see. December 1st, U.S. chip maker Marvel. Maybe it's on the video. I don't know. Marvel Celestial AI did not immediately respond. Networking chip maker. Potential deal for Celestial AI. Okay, let's go up here and see what they're talking about.
We are watching Marvell, Duolingo, and ConocoPhillips. First up, Marvell. SoftBank is reportedly weighed a takeover of the chipmaker, according to Bloomberg. Shares are jumping amid that report, which said SoftBank weighed the idea of combining it with UK chip designer ARM. The report said the two sides couldn't reach an agreement on terms. The deal would have been the semiconductor industry's largest ever deal. And even though the report says it weighed, it's not happening. The shares are up 6% this morning. Next up, Duolingo. Shares plunging on its fourth quarter bookings forecast. The language learning company sees bookings in the range of $329 million to $335 million. Analysts were looking for $344 million. Analysts at Citizens noted that there were no key catalysts to drive user growth coming up. Meanwhile, JP Morgan noted that management's focus on user growth weighed on the bookings outlook. And finally, ConocoPhillips posting third quarter earnings above estimates due to higher output and lower costs that offset weaker oil prices. It also raised its quarterly dividend and full year production forecast. The oil giant also raised its cost outlook. The shares little changed. As always, you can scan the QR code below to track the best and worst performing stocks with Yahoo Finance's trending tickers page.
All right, let's go back over. Okay, so Marvel, a chip maker, they were mentioned there. They are up 2% right now. Let's continue to deep dive. Good morning, good morning. It said, did Marvel have earnings? Yes. Where did they go? Marvel right here. All right, so let's go look at let's just look at their news first and see if they said anything about earnings specifically. Says they have a Q3. Okay, they have an earnings call today. Today at 4:45 p.m. So this afternoon. Let's see. So 11 hours ago, 17 hours ago, Marvel extends collaboration with Microsoft. Marvel Tech, yeah, right here. Marvel Technology Q3 earnings report preview. What to look for. So let's see. I guess I can go ahead and click into that. Marvel Technology Q3 earnings. Networking chips designer Marvel Technology will be announcing earning results tomorrow after market close. So, yep, this afternoon they will be dishing it out. So we'll see how they act up during the day. I have them notated here, so just jotting on the notes. Let me see what else we got here. So Tesla China-made EV sales rise 9.9% in November. Okay, so that could be some good news for Tesla. Let me mark them down too. That's a mention. Last 32 minutes. Gas prices fall to $3 a gallon, hitting lowest level since 2021. Marvel OECD lifts U.S. growth forecast, but tariffs still a drag. OpenAI's Altman. Okay, we saw that one. Congress has just weeks to tackle healthcare AI. Yep, because January 26th, I believe, is when they reopened the discussion for healthcare. Nasdaq leads as U.S. stocks eye cautious comeback. All right. Paris-based AI voice startup Gradium nabs $70 million seed. I don't see a real ticker for that. Fintech firm Wealthfront seeks up to 2.05 billion valuation in. Wealthfront is finally IPOing. Oh boy, I've been using Wealthfront for a long time. I wonder what their ticker is going to be. I've been using Wealthfront for a long time. I am. Do I want to invest in Wealthfront long term? So they were founded in 2008. They do have they have kind of been in a battle to keep the high dividend savings accounts and the IRAs so you can get better everything. But I don't know. During COVID was really when they did really well with their rates, but they kind of came back down, especially with interest going back up. Wealthfront has kind of been on the edge. I use them and then I don't. I rather, instead of having it in their savings account, which does do pretty good, I could put it in a money market account or just a regular dividend brokerage account and make more. But that's me actually actively managing the portfolio, but it makes more than it just sit in Wealthfront. But if you don't want to sit there and do it all day, you can put it in Wealthfront, and I think it's a 3.41 percentage. It was closer to 4% or a little bit over 4% for a little bit, but then it started to kind of whack off, and so now it's like 3.41, and I was like, I don't know. I think I could do better myself. Um, let's see. So Wealthfront intends to so their stock under the WLTH symbol. Okay. That's a big bank, man. I don't know if I want to invest in that though, man. I don't know. I mean, if people want to put things on autopilot, Wealthfront is a good way to go. Senate says TSLL is a good plat for Tesla. Tesla. I'm a little confused. Oh, TSLL. Let me see. So you're saying TSLL probably is a Tesla holder, the Direction Dalian Tesla Bull stock, so you can actually minimize your exposure over here. He was calling out TSLL, minimize exposure risk, and this is only $18. So if you don't want to put your money into like Tesla directly, you can do a cushioned approach where you get something that holds multiple assets in it. And so when Tesla is going down or whatnot, maybe they have something in here to hedge against Tesla's movement, is what he was calling out. So, okay, let me go back over here real quick. Let's see. So we were talking about China autonomous driving firm Momenta files for Hong Kong IPO. Okay. Eurozone inflation edges higher, backing steady ECB rates. Silver slips from record on signs 6-day rally had run too far. Prada Group says it has purchased fashion rival Versace in a deal worth near 1.4 billion. So Prada Group says it has purchased fashion rival Versace. And then this is another announcement of that same thing. 1.4 billion Prada buying out Versace. Okay, let's see what we got over here. Look what we're talking about. AI stocks. You're in a FBG trade on FTEL. FTEL, let's see. So yeah, it went up here to 204. Right at these highs, 204. We were looking there. There's some type of trend that it came down and bounced on right here twice. So it kind of validated this, and then it has ATR here at 158. But the trend is back down here to about 164. So we'll see what happens there. It has the highest volume so far among the low floats. I did take one trade yesterday on QTTB during like the middle of the day, made like 40 bucks and just got out. I wasn't expecting it to return to highs or anything like that. I don't even know how much. I don't even know what the return on was for that. I got well, I really could have got more than 10 cents, but I got stopped out and I got an 8-cent return on those shares that I traded. So I got in at the 445, looking for it to get back up to I think 470s was like 100 bucks for me. And so like a 30-cent move, but it couldn't do it. So I just started exiting, taking my profit, getting on out. Cause I didn't, first of all, it was higher float, higher outstanding shares than I usually like to touch. And then it was super choppy throughout the day. So I was like, you know what? If it doesn't want to act right here, I'm just going to take what I can get. But we got, you know, a little cushion on the month. I want to continue to build on that cushion and not give back and go red. But for today, we're looking for things dropping that catalyst, dropping that news. And so he's in FTEL right now. We'll see how that goes. It has a little trend here, and then it has another little idea of a trend right here. So we will see how that holds up as well. It doesn't have any real structure going downwards yet. It came up here and broke 203 about 1 cent, and now it's coming down here to the point of control. Point of control is at 192 on FTEL. On the 5 and the 15 minute, it's at 186 on the 5 minute and 166. So we can actually draw that out. So 192, or wait, what's the low? The highest point is 192, lowest point is 166. So let's draw that box. 192 down to 166. Okay, so something like this. and we'll see how it trades here. Can it hold over the points of control? Points of control are basically the highest traded zones on a specific stock during a specific market period. So pre-market, well, pre-market will bleed into intraday. Okay, it goes pretty much all day, and it goes from day to day. So pre-market bleeds into intraday, intraday bleeds into aftermarket, and so on. But it does stop at the end of each day and restart. But yeah, it's trading right here at the top of that range, and we'll see it does have a two uptrends that it could test out down here, but I'm not sure if it's going to do that. It's up 60% with 24 million shares traded. See TAOP. Okay. All right, so back over here to the news real quick. Oh, this is the box that I was drawing here from 192 to 166 there. That is kind of tiptoeing above. And, sometimes, we draw these boxes. Like yesterday, I drew a box for QTTB, and it came up, climbed on top of the box, and used it as a trampoline and took off during pre-market. But those higher flows, I don't know. During pre-market, I'm just kind of, I really like the low floats during pre-market, the ones that can really move. If I'm gonna risk during pre-market, I'm like, man, let me get me a low float. But I guess it was a low float, but a lower float, a lower and lower outstanding shares. Anyway, let's jump back over here to the news, see what they're talking about here.
Let's talk a little bit about the first half of 2026, or I guess all of 2026, and then we can talk about some of the more recent things we've been watching. But, we have seen some of these supply concerns bubbling up, notably with memory chip pricing is one of the ways. What are you watching?
So I think I look at it from a holistic standpoint of Q3 earnings. I mean, you've seen three major companies increase their forward inventory buys dramatically. If you look at NVIDIA, up 63% sequential on forward buys. ANET went from $5 billion to $7 billion. And then the last one was Cisco, going from like 5.3 billion to 8.2 billion year over year. So if you look at the cloud titans spend, we're now over 400 billion. That's up almost 80% year over year. And I think the supply chain is just not structured the right way to not seeing shortages in the first half. The big thing happened last week, and I think most people missed it either because they're on Thanksgiving holiday or en route to Thanksgiving. On Tuesday, Dell CEO basically said that he's seeing massive increases in prices and that he's anticipating shortages across advanced logic, memory, and you can throw in optical into that aspect going into the first half. A lot of these companies have ample Q4 inventories. It's just the first half that I think the street's not looking around the corner properly.
Well, and Ted, how is this going to play out? Because sometimes in the past, when there have been supply bottlenecks, the stocks involved still go up because it means there's a lot of demand. Sometimes, though, it goes the other way. So how would you recommend investors sort of position around this?
It's really tough, and you asked the right question. The problem is, I don't think anybody knows, and I'd highlight in the optical space as well as memory. Those are the bottlenecks.
I was looking in the Discord. At that chart. It disappeared. Maybe you put the wrong chart up there or something. But I seen it for like a second. All right, let's continue.
Memory and networking are definitely the bottlenecks. Nobody knows how much double and triple ordering we have. And at some point we will find out, and that's the downside of the trade. The upside of the train is this unprecedented demand that the CEO of Dell basically said, I don't know how many times on the call, but we're seeing probably in my career the biggest demand environment. So it's really a double-edged sword. I think people just got to be very, very vigilant on models going into the first half of 26. A lot of the buy and sell side models, in my humble opinion, may be a little bit stale and extrapolating, for example, 40% cloud growth. We may have some hiccups along the way that may actually impact the availability of supply in the first half.
It's Cyber Monday. Despite the widely publicized affordability crisis walloping shoppers, the start to the holiday shopping season appears to have been decent for many retailers. Black Friday's retail sales, excluding autos, rose 4.1%, according to MasterCard Spending Pulse data. That's stronger than last year's 3.4% growth. Adobe Analytics say consumers spent a record $11.8 billion online on Black Friday, up 9.1% year over year. Here in the opening bid roundtable, Adam Coons, Winthrop Capital Chief Investment Officer, Nicole Inouye, HSBC Head of Equity Strategy for the Americas, and Yahoo Finance Senior Reporter Brooke DePalma. All right, good morning to you all. Brooke, let me come back to you real quick on the start to the holiday shopping season. Really, what is your read here? Because sales look to have been strong, but we have been talking all week, really for the past couple weeks, about this affordability crisis.
Brian, what I was surprised to see is that despite the fact that we've been seeing deals for months now, consumers continue to show up this past Cyber weekend from, even starting on Thanksgiving, even starting way before Thanksgiving until this Monday. And what we're hearing from Adobe is that on Friday alone, the consumers spent about $11.8 billion. Saturday and Sunday combined, they spent another $11.8 billion. Now Cyber Monday is expected to be another record with $14.2 billion spent. And the read that I'm getting is that this is an extremely deal-seeking environment. Consumers really seeking out the ultimate deals are expected to splurge on furniture, electronics, and apparel today. And it seems as though maybe they waited until this moment to see, hey, am I going to get the best deal during this weekend? And will I ultimately splurge then? But certainly, these deals have been running even since the summer, even since July. And so it's interesting to see that this weekend consumers continued to show up in record spend.
Nicole, welcome to the roundtable. Good to see you here this morning. I'm going to get into your outlook that you just put out for next year, but I wanted, before I get to that, you mentioned a two-speed market or economy right now. When you drill into the consumer, is the consumer perhaps more, I guess, resilient than the market has priced in?
Well, this kind of K-shaped consumer is something we've been talking about for over a year now, and we think that continues into 2026. And so very interesting what Brooke was just talking about in terms of Black Friday, Cyber Monday, consumers are spending, but they're looking for deals. So when we look into 2026, yes, the consumer is spending, but they're concentrating that spending in companies that can offer a attractive value proposition. So, when we look into 2026, we are still seeing this consumer where the high-end consumer continues to do very well. The low-end consumer is under pressure. So you need to be very selective in the consumer discretionary space. But we're looking at companies, again, that can gain share. So where they can offer a very attractive value proposition and bring the consumer from all different income cohorts into the stores and really outperform. So again, I think this good Black Friday, Cyber Monday you're seeing it is really an example of shoppers looking for deals and a low-end consumer that is still under pressure. And going to next year, again, the K-shaped consumer we think continues, we think it widens, and you have to be very selective looking at either companies focused on a very high-end consumer or really those companies that can gain share in this sort of environment.
Adam, I'm surprised by these numbers. I thought they would have been a little bit lower in terms of growth rates, given where the consumer is at in this country. Any interest in getting involved in more consumer discretionary names off of these numbers going into year end? I mean, do you even want these in your portfolio into next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of was just said there. You got to be careful. The K-shaped economy is real. And I think what you're seeing here is obviously the upper end is continuing to do what they're doing. They're going to keep spending. The deal-centric folks are those who have kind of put purchases off and have seen that tariffs really haven't led to the inflation that maybe they were reading about or hearing in social media that was coming. And so now they're feeling a little bit better, and maybe they can buy, those certain products heading into year end because, the employment picture still is intact while, it is getting a little bit worse. Overall, when you look on a relative basis, the consumer, the working man is still, doing okay. And so, yeah, I do think you want to, look at different consumer stocks. I would focus more kind of on the luxury end right now, in particular because of that K-shaped kind of prop up that we're all talking about right now. But you do have to be selective. Valuations matter. The product matters. You have to be very, very selective.
Okay. So back over here on FTEL, where we were looking at the points of control, it did end up trading into this box. So traded at the top side of this 192 concentration area and fell down in here. Now it is falling towards where previous uptrends were. I don't know what action is going to come off of these uptrends, these ideas. That's all they really are. It's just an idea. And you want to see, hey, how does this idea hold up? But it is trading right down to this level. The first one is at the 170. This next one is at the 164, and these came from back here. So the low of the day, just want to see if it was holding any type of trend here, or not the low of the day, the low of pre-market, and wanted to see if it was trading any kind of trend here. And then we had another little idea that was in here, but neither one of these has been validated. So, it's kind of just down here, but we do know that it is in the point of control box, like the most heavily traded area is where it's kind of sitting and going flat here. Nvidia just joined the higher float movers. So we got Irene and Nvidia leading today. Irene is down 4%, but Nvidia is sitting slightly green. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not seeing anything else pop onto the low floats as of yet. We pretty much have seen those. TAOP Chinese stock, and I need to actually I don't need to, because TOS has blocked the trading on that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'm not gonna forget. If I press the buy button, it's gonna be like, nah, bro. Okay, MNDR, no catalyst. So low floats, no catalyst. Let me look at Irene and these higher floats and see if they have any catalysts. Irene, nope. Nvidia always has some type of news going, so I'm pretty sure they got something. They're looking towards the Fed rate cut. They got some Bitcoin news. All right, it is what it is over there. Back over here to the news.
Let's zero in on the U.S. first, because your outlook there is for 2% growth.
Yeah.
But we've gradually seen over the past couple of years this trend of, like, we expect one thing and it usually inches a little higher. So how should we be viewing 2026 through that prism?
That happened again this year, right? So after the tariffs, everyone was marking down growth. We didn't have a recession, but we had a borderline recession. But the tariffs were not as bad as we thought. So numerically, they're lower. There was very little retaliation to the U.S., and then it's taken time to pass through. So those effects were moderate, but now we've got these tailwinds. We've got AI in the data centers, we've got lower energy prices, and we've got pretty easy financial conditions. So now we're kind of back up to 2 at the end of the year, which is potential for the U.S., and we did the U again this year.
And how significant is AI as a percentage of that?
We don't have a direct measure, but we think it's at least half an extra percentage point of growth on an annual basis. And then the other way to look at it, something like 80% of domestic spending in the first part of the year was AI and data centers, which is huge, right? So if you scrape that out, you get a labor market that's pretty weak, an expansion that's pretty narrow. So this is going to be a nice tailwind to growth for the U.S. for probably the next couple of years.
I mean, on the flip side, when we talk about tariffs, I just talked to someone from ISM, the Institute for Supply Management. Yeah. We got their manufacturing numbers today. What was it? 10th straight month of contraction in manufacturing. Now, I know manufacturing is not the largest part of the U.S. economy by far, but still, these tariffs are something that are designed, at least in theory, to help that sector, and it hasn't.
Yeah, we're not seeing the reshoring that was originally thought, but we're losing employment in manufacturing, we're losing employment in government, we're losing employment in tech. So aside from the data centers that we just talked about, there's really not much going on. But the manufacturing, we've basically taxed ourselves, right? We're taxing imports, either American firms or American consumers are paying that. We still have the policy on predictability overhanging everything, and that's putting a damper on a lot of things, including manufacturing output.
And something that we've talked about in the past with this so-called K-shaped economy, or whatever you want to call it, the gap in spending, is that from an economics point of view, like, it's fine if the wealthiest Americans are spending enough to keep the economy afloat.
But we've been pointing out this narrowness argument for a couple of quarters. So the labor market strength is narrow, the demand story is narrow, the manufacturing story is narrow, and the consumer spending story is relatively narrow. So the top 10% are roughly sort of 40-50% of spending. So we're not getting the broad-based recovery, and that's probably not sustainable over the longer term. But short term, that kind of juices up the growth rate. So that's again masking some of this weakness.
Right. I mean, do we expect any broadening? And if so, what's going to be the catalyst for it? Is it going to be, for example, the tax bill and some changes?
The tax bill will help. Lower energy bills will help. But also the data centers are kind of spreading out across the country. They were originally concentrated right outside of D.C. and Loudoun County, Virginia. But now they're kind of everywhere. So we might get a multi-year boost for this smaller stuff. But manufacturing coming back and building out the middle class, kind of 1950s style, that's definitely not something we see in the cards coming back.
My takeaway was we're all concerned about an AI bubble, but maybe that bubble just has further to expand.
Well, I think, that's exactly what we're saying. So, if we're in a bubble, if we're not in a bubble, I think really at the end of the day, we're looking and seeing when will that bubble start to deflate. And as long as you have the hyperscalers growing revenue at a double-digit pace, you have that CapEx that's being deployed, you have kind of this AI adoption that continues to increase, we think that bubble will continue to inflate. And when we think about the late 1990s boom, that lasted for 5 years. So this was, this was not something from 1-2 years to the next. It actually lasted for a pretty long time with a strong melt up at the end, which of course we haven't really seen yet in the AI trade yet this time around. And of course, what everybody says about when we look at companies now compared to back in the late 1990s, balance sheets are stronger, profitability is much stronger. And in terms of who the winners are going to be, I think in the late 1990s in the dot-com boom, it was a big question mark. We didn't know who the winners were going to be. And I think now it's a little bit clear, given the concentration that we're seeing in the spending and so forth, who the winners will be eventually in this AI trade. So, it's very similar to the late 1990s, but I would say it's a healthier upswing, and we think there's still more time to go on this upswing in this AI-led investment boom.
Nicole, you mentioned we will see a broadening out of the AI trend next year. Is another way to look at that, is next year the melt up that you just were talking about?
I don't know if next year will be the melt up, but when we think about the AI trade, when we look at kind of the return of the S&P since Liberation Day, it has been really focused on, Mag 7 and tech. So that's represents almost 90% of the returns we've seen since Liberation Day. When we look into next year, we think investors should broaden that AI trade. So you're looking at enablers, you're looking at adopters. And when you look at earnings growth for next year, again, we're expecting another very strong year of earnings growth, 12%. Mag 7 will still grow at a robust pace, but this is going to slow down. So we're not seeing them grow at such a strong pace that we saw in 2025. And we're seeing a lift from the other sectors. So financials, industrials, utilities should report very good earnings next year as well. So kind of that gap between the Mag 7 and the rest should start to narrow. So with that, we think investors should broaden their investments across different sectors going into 2026.
So David, I don't want to get
All right, so over here, we're still trading within the box. I was thinking that there would be some type of idea here, but yeah, it's getting invalidated. I don't really like it. It's gonna have to give us an outlier one way or the other. Well, there's an outlier. Okay. Yeah, there's an outlier. So we still have these trends down here that it has not yet tested at the 172. And if it goes to this lower one at the 165, it'll actually be leaving that point of control area. So that's kind of concerning, especially for weakness, because if it leaves that, this is where a lot of shares were bought or sold here. A lot of action happened here around this 167. And I'm wondering how many stops are down here under this level. But yeah, this one definitely sticking into the box, and we'll see if it does a breakdown here of 175 to 173 and get under those 70s. So we do have a little bit of idea here. It's a little bit of a downtrend idea, and we'll see how that continues to hold it down. So something else can come and take the reins in the low floats if possible. Still have the same two on the higher floats, which is Irene and Nvidia. And some of the ones that we kind of took note of today were these. TSLL was a call out. QBTT was from yesterday, and I don't think it's going to be a player for today. It had 1 million shares up there. Tesla was mentioned. FLYE was a mover from yesterday. I'm going to take these off. FLYE. Marvel was mentioned today. SMX was the big mover from Friday, but it has since dropped from that $76 down to $33, so it has lost about $40 worth of per share value. And so yeah, SMX fell from the sky. So the top three here, I'm gonna go and I want to look into what TSLL actually is encapsulating, what tickers that it actually holds within it. All right, back over to FTAIL, continuing this little descent.
Too far ahead of ourselves here, but it's only a month left until the end of the year. People were discounting the ability of stocks to outperform the averages, and here we are, S&P up 15%. What do you think?
I think we've had a pretty good year. You look at earnings, they've been quite strong. You have unemployment numbers, they're pretty low. And you have a Fed that looks to be accommodative. So I think the stock market doing well in this environment makes a lot of sense.
And Elliot?
Are there any risks that you see? Because we've been hearing about a lot of optimism heading into 2026. We keep getting moves higher for S&P 500 targets, up as high as 8,000 right now, with Deutsche Bank calling that. So when there's so
I am seeing SBEV over here, but I'm not seeing any catalyst for it. SBEV popped up here from 135 up to 204, but I'm not seeing any clear catalyst on SBEV. It's up 29% going towards 30. It is right. It just broke over that ATR high of the 161s, closed with an ATR of 26 cents from yesterday. And I'm just, I don't see a catalyst for it. So I wonder, is it going to become a leader? Is it going to suck up the volume on the day? It's got 4 million shares trading on SBEV. Let me see what it's connected to real quick and see why it's having this move here. It may be just a round trip, but you know, just kind of looking into it. What is this? Splash Beverage Group is the name of the company. It has a float. My statistics. Come on, statistics. Has a float of 2.21 million. Insiders are holding the majority of the shares there, looks like. So I'm over here looking at the stats in Yahoo Finance, held by insiders, and then there's a float 2.21 million. Let me see what kind of profile it has over here on SBEV. SBEV, Splash Beverage Group, engages in the manufacturing, distribution, marketing, and sales of various beverages in the United States. It operates in 2 segments: manufacture and distribution of non-alcoholic and alcoholic beverages, and retail sale of beverages and groceries online. The company offers flavored tequilas under the Salt Tequila and Chispo Tequila brand name, okay, and wine and sangria. It serves business-to-business retailers and end users through its website and third-party storefronts. The company is based out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Okay, so alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages. It's got a website and all of that. It's up 34%, and you know, it's got 5 million shares. For some reason, it is definitely sucking up a little bit of the volume. I just saw it pop up and I was like, what is this? But ATR of 26%. The relative volume doesn't really calculate until the open. Same with the ATR probabilities and all of that. So that's, I had to wait to the open for that, but everything else, it's a cheaper stock, $1.78 I was about to say percent, $1.78. But I want to see, is this where people are going to focus on today? Something without a catalyst, without news, or is something else on the move up? It is a little bit higher price than FTL now. FTL slightly losing some focus. It is continuing to trade. FTL is continuing to trade down into the trend that we had kind of spotted. The idea that we kind of spotted, it did get below that first level of support that we thought could be support, but it didn't exactly break down that 166. But SBEV continues to push up here. So 190s had a high up here of 204s. We'll see if we can see any kind of structure building on this one for a drop. And we'll see if it can verify or confirm these supports, or if it continues to shoot up. But has room back down here to the ATR highs at the 160, which is only 20 cents away. And then the highs, let me go look at the daily chart on SBEV. SBEV closed yesterday at 134 and is trading at 180 something today. So right above this little peak daily level, 166. Let me mark that up. 166 could be a possible daily level. I don't know if it's support or resistance. But edit possible daily level. All right, and then above that we have 186, 167. I mean, I don't even know if it can. That's a long way up there. 337 with no catalyst is crazy. I mean, maybe it can go crazy. I don't know, but I'm just not sure about that 335 level up there. Let me duplicate, put this up here, and then mark this as maybe a peak daily level that probably is going to be some type of resistance. If it gets all the way up there, I'm gonna be baffled. All right, so let's go to peak daily level. That's the only other obvious spot I can see that's just a standout. Beyond that, I mean, I just don't see it going beyond that. But back over here, it is continuing to trade in this downtrend, but doesn't mean that it's over. This possible daily level here is at the 167, but we don't really have a clean uptrend. We have the low of pre-market right here at 135. That could be presenting an idea, but I don't know how this idea is going to do. So we'll see if it continues to bounce off of this and try to go higher with no catalyst, but I'm just not trusting this one, especially not in pre-market. All right, let's look back over at FTL. FTL came up and hit its head on the previous level that it was supposed to be trying to hold right here at 175, and continues to trade down, and the volume continues to be lighter, even though it has 27 million shares traded. SBEV is not caught up with it. It's got 20 million more shares than FTL traded, or FTL has 20 million more than SBEV. Now SBEV coming down. So this was our original trend line here, and I just wanted to see how it was going to test this. Is it going to go ahead and break it down? Is this a round trip, or is it and this is the ATR high, so if it closes below this, that would be a little bit of weakness. But I just wanted to see if it was going to hold this, but without a catalyst, it's going to be hard to do. Hard to do. And it's about to go under 20% as well. And it opened under this ATR high. So let's see if the ATR high starts to become some type of resistance. quite a bit of work that it just gave up. It went up to 2, then had another from 160 up to 195, 30 cents, and now it's on that struggle bus. All right, back over to FTEL. FTEL going and testing down the next level here of the 167. Now remember, FTEL had the new, wait, we got something else. PLRZ popping on. PLRZ. It says it announces the successful completion of manufacturing upscaling milestone for its nasal spray platform. So it's a nasal spray, which is, it's there, you know, it's something. PLRZ. Let's look at the daily chart. So it closed yesterday at 316, and now it's up to 512 with this nasal spray news. Let me go and see what this news is talking about. Let's see. So nasal spray upscaling milestone for its nasal. Oh, this is an Israeli stock too. So PLRZ is an Israeli stock, which can definitely be a nice little chop factory. So be careful. If you don't know about Israeli stocks or Chinese stocks, they kind of behave the same. And I'm surprised TOS doesn't block these. I'm gonna see if it's blocking it right now. Nope, it'll allow trading on this one. Wouldn't allow trading on the Chinese one. Okay. So yeah, PLRZ is tradable on TOS. But nasal spray Israeli stock, be careful, because these can get very, very nasty very, very quickly. So the top here was 524. It came from 320, but no real structure at this point, just a parabolic straight up move. And we kind of got to wait for the trading on it. But it's got 2-3 million shares traded, so we'll see how quickly it catches up with everything else. PLRZ, that top was, well, it's right back up to the top, isn't it? Okay. 523. All right, so let me go and pull PLRZ news up. So PLRZ 531s. Okay, profile. Polyrizon Limited, a biotech company, engages in the development of medical device hydrogels in the form of nasal sprays in Israel. The company uses its proprietary technology to develop its products, comprising capture and contain a barrier against a range of allergen particulates and viruses, a trap and target for nasal delivery of active pharmaceutical ingredients. It also develops PL14, a nasal allergies blocker, PL15 for COVID-19, and PL16 for influenza blockers. Polyrizon Limited was incorporated in 2005 and is headquartered in Ooh, that name though. I'm just gonna say Israel. Headquartered in Israel. Yep. So this one is up there with 4 million shares traded. Let's go look at the floats of this one. Closed with the ATR of 51 cents yesterday. The float over here is under a million, so like 979,000. Insiders and institutions are kind of dry on this one on both sides, so not a whole lot of people on record holding it. All right, so let me go ahead and update these notes. So we have a Israel stock that does nasal sprays. Nasal sprays. It has a nasal sprays. It has a float of under a million. So float of 979,000. Okay. It has COVID and flu. COVID, flu, and what was the other one? COVID, nasal allergies, COVID, and flu. COVID and flu. yeah, we got all of that listed there. Let's activate this. All right, so the high side, let's go look up here. So now it is trading at, yeah, it was at 615 right there. 615 is the highs. Are there any standout levels? And we've seen this one before because I got some levels down here. So yeah, we've seen this one before, but now it's time for new levels. So let's clear all these old, well, no, because it's gonna clear my little excerpt there. But anyway, it is at 615. So right below this level here, 638. And I wouldn't even call that a peak level. That's not even a peak. The peak will be probably up here at 768. So let's mark that up. Peak daily level. 768. And let's zoom back a little bit. The next one looks to be what, 7. Duplicate. We got one here is 7 or 809. Then past that, I mean, the next one is like way up there. I wouldn't even consider this a peak. This one's the peak, 14 something. But I think these two will end up being okay placements there on those peak daily levels. Could be resistance. I don't know. We'll see what happens once it gets up there. But it has 7 million shares traded now. It really ran up the board kind of quickly with 87 or 90% on the board. With a high of 616 right now, with more volume coming in up here. And so we just are continuously trying to see what's going on. So from this level, can we get an idea of drainage here, or is it going to continue to pump up? F-tail and some of the others have now gone further down as well as this one comes up the board. So have a high up here, 615. A little bit of a downtrend. Actually, it's a little bit too fat. All right, a little bit of a downtrend here, and we'll see how the trends hold. See what the structure looks like, because at this point it's just a parabolic move on the 1 minute. No real structure there. And from the bottom, we don't have any kind of upward trend. So we kind of got an idea, but it could just break right through this top here at the 605s. I'm not sure. It's 2 million shares away from the 2 million shares. A long list of errors says buy, out. Yeah, that's how some people trade. They wake up and they're like, oh, it's moving, let's jump in. Okay, F-tail over here ended up trading all the way through the box that we had put out, all the way under both of those uptrends, and continues to trade down towards the 158's ATR high. But these are the ones that are pretty much staying above 20%. I don't see anything else with catalysts on the low float side. Nope, no catalyst, no catalyst. Okay. All right. So again, we're just getting a small little pullback here on the 1 minute. And we'll see if it comes back up here and slaps through this level aggressively. But this is what they would call a dip. You know what I'm saying? It's a little 1 minute pullback. It's what but the problem is with this 1 minute pullback is, are people going to continue to believe in this catalyst, right? Nasal spray for COVID, flu, and allergies. And from an Israeli company. Now let's look at the point of controls and get a point of control box drawn. So it looks like on the 1 minute it is 579 here. 5 minute it is 555, and then the 15 minute hadn't even calculated yet. So it's got a little bit to go before it can actually calculate the point of control. But 179, or I mean 579 down to 555. So 555 here is the box. 555 up to 579 there. Okay, I need to move this. Activate. So this is our point of control box. Let's go ahead and activate. We'll see how it does, how it stretches out and all of that good stuff. But came up, crashed right back through it. And a couple bars, it'll be touching it. So getting a little bit of structure. And this was a little bit lower high than the previous one. So this is another idea that could be put out here. Oh, wrong one. And I always do that. Another idea of a slight downtrend. This one isn't super bad. Slight downtrend on that one. So we got a downtrend inside of a downtrend, and now we need to see if it's going to uptrend, what does that uptrend look like? $5.45. It's got 11 million shares traded, catching up with TAOP, about to cross TAOP now, the Chinese stock. So we are starting to see some structure. I realized, like, literally drawing these structures has helped me so much. When I didn't draw any structures and I was just trading price action, I mean, it was kind of like, you know, I don't know. It was like I wasn't really visualizing it. I guess I'm more of a visual person than I thought. But just visualizing the structure, seeing what confirms, what holds, you know, and kind of getting that multiple level of confirmation in a drawing has helped me significantly to not get boiled and baked out here. So it's popping up right there, testing the bottom side of this 550 there. You will see it's still a little bit too steep to draw anything that makes sense in here. All right, so it looks like the point of controls have shifted on me. It says, so 558 down to 527 now. I'm gonna let it trade around here and kind of get that 15-minute going so we can get a better idea of where the point of control is moving to. Because it's definitely moving. Well, there's a 521s breaking to new lower lows on a nice little dropper candle. 509 bouncing off that 509 level to get back up here. It's getting further and further away, almost $1 pullback off of that $6 level up there. So somebody's down $1. They didn't read the catalyst. We got another one up here, VSIG. What you got going on over here, big boy? VSIG with a catalyst on today. VCI Global. This is a Malaysian stock. Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Says it got awarded US 20 million RWA consultancy mandate for Bridge Gold stablecoin. Okay, so VSIG is up 56%, and it has catalysts on the day. Some kind of stablecoin, gold stablecoin that it is on. So let's check that out. Check it out and actually let me see if it's blocked by TOS. Let me try it. Yep, it's blocked by TOS. It is blocked by TOS. So VSIG is a Malaysian stock, so either way it goes, I won't be able to do anything with that anyway. VSIG is blocked. Okay. I'm telling you, anything Chinese that comes up, they're blocking. Which I'm not mad at, you know. They're making these folks increase their standards and actually post better statistics, because a lot of their statistics are in different currencies. They're not converted well. And so I completely understand why they will be doing that. But yeah, VSIG, if you have the ability and you have the strategy, you know, could be something you can play today, but is something that I can't touch. I can't touch. SBEV went on down under the ATR high and found a whole bunch of competition has popped back up here. FTL continued on that downtrend, came and tested the bottom side of this, but looking like it wants to get back on the ATR high as well. So VSIG turning around towards that ATR high right there at 145. We want to see you get over that ATR high and hold strong. All right, so looks like PLRZ, the Israeli stock, is coming back up here and trying to test these highs here. So it had this previous idea through here at the 582, and then the final idea up there at right around 6. So we'll see if this trend actually ends up holding it here. Will shorts take this one or no? Popping up there, popping all the way up there to the next trend there and stopping right on that trend idea. So will it hold it down and get it back into the box is the question. So that actually invalidates this trend right here. And we'll follow the stronger trend. We'll stop that motion. Yep, closing below it. So I'm gonna go ahead and remove this one. And we'll just watch this stronger trend up here. We got the box. Let me see if it moved any. So on the 1 minute, it is at 584. On the 5 minute, it came back up to 582. So moved the point of control up, but it ran into this trend here that's got it bumping its head. So that idea kind of held, and we'll see where it goes from here. Does it want to still stay above the 550s, or is this going to act like a real Israeli stock and do some slams? This one is tradable on TOS as well. Still too steep to put any kind of uptrend, because if I put an uptrend here, this isn't gonna look right. Uptrend right there, that's gonna look crazy. Crazy uptrend. So broke that level 6 up to 660 on the nasal spray Israeli stock. So it is moving like an Israeli stock. Big moves out, and I'm expecting to see big wicks too. So move out here to, oh, where's that mark we had up here? So peak daily levels we had marked up here 768 and 813. Getting a nice little candle up there, breaking out, has 768 up there. Got over that point of control that we had previously put in, and absolutely ripped. So let's see, that invalidates this one down, this little trend down here, and we got to look for new things. And at this point, this trend right here, this upward trend, is looking more validated. It doesn't look as steep now with that move out, but we'll see. Got this 584 is down here to see where it wants to go. It's up 115% with 17 million shares traded. High of 725. Let's see if it's going to move like Israeli stock. Can we see those wicks start to populate? 18 million shares traded. Really like to identify a downtrend and an uptrend so we can fight in between them, so we can look for like a pennant. I do like the pennants. Pennants, double bottoms, double bottoms, especially on good catalysts. But yeah, this one's looking around. List of errors. Rexcon list of errors is asking, did the FV work for FTEL on that? The FV fair value, I think it was fair value gap. Let's see. Coming up here as room, the trend right here is down here to 581. And it is verified it twice now, so we'll see if it starts to actually hold the 550s, hold up into these levels. But we need to find some type of consolidation downtrend. Okay. So at this point, 590s is the trend. Why don't I use the 9 and the 20? I don't use any of that. I just pretty much want to find the structure and play within the structure. And if it breaks out from where I get in, great. But yeah, the 9, the 20, and all of that. And the other thing is the catalyst isn't that great. The nasal catalyst, and it's an Israeli stock. So statistically, I'm trading off my statistics as well. Israeli stocks, Chinese stocks have been the biggest losers that I have pretty much experienced. I know there's opportunity, but I mean, I'm green without them. You know what I mean? Like there's somebody somewhere that isn't green. So I'm like, yeah, I'm trading off statistics as well. I can mark them up like like I trade my other ones. I can do that, but statistically, just on the numbers, I know what time it is. It knows what time it is for me. I think he uses the 1 minute for his entries, and I think he said the 1 minute for the fair value gap, but I'm not sure. Rexcon, you or he might be in the trade. He might be concentrating, sweating right now. Actually, he was on FTEL. He wasn't on PLRZ. So FTEL, I don't know about that one. Kind of got overshadowed by PLRZ here. Anyway, I got a couple more minutes. I'm gonna be shutting it on down because I got to get out of here and go make some money. $725. So is this an outlier? Is it going to stop there? Is it going to pop that 725 high? Boom, right up there to that level, 768. And yeah, so went up there to the levels that we had marked from the daily, but that catalyst, I just couldn't vibe with that catalyst. It did move though. Not mad. I'm already green on the month. I'm cool. We cooling because I know how these act. Rexcon said he took a small profit on FTEL, then closed the remainder. He was concentrating on gold. GC. All right, so it did get up to that level, and let's see if that becomes some type of real resistance there. Long list says, so did FVG tell you when to exit? Your guy had 2 nice GC trades, FVG. Nice. Look at the overall market. What is it doing out here? Okay. Also, we do have the Discord. It is free. You can jump in there. RexCon is in there if y'all want to continue any kind of conversations. We talk in there throughout the day. We find stocks that kind of align with our scopes. Different types of traders, different styles of trading in there as well. So we kind of compare, contrast, take notes, and all of that good stuff in the Discord. And the link has been dropped in the chat as well. So at this point, the trend is getting closer and closer here. So the trend is right at what, 7 or 662. It's getting tighter and tighter. So this has some big upswings for sure. Off of this box, off of this point of control box, dip down to 642s, blast it up, and now again here, floating on that $7 flat. Opening up right on the trend. So now this is the first test of that trend coming back into play. Really don't even have any clean downtrend area. It's got to kind of give us some type of peak back up so we can get a downtrend if it's going to downtrend. So we are kind of in the void now. No uptrend, no downtrend, especially if this breaks down a lot more than this. The bottom of this was 650s. Brought that point of control up to 681 right there in the so on the 5-minute it is 573. So 573 is back down in here all the way up to where it is. That is a wide range. We definitely can fall quite a bit here. Right on that trend. Do people believe in it? Do they actually think it can go back up to 780 on this trend is the question. This is a long list of errors. This is not a pullback. This is not a pullback. This was a pullback, but this had like no testing in here, right? This right here isn't a pullback. This is what we call an extension, overextension. We don't want to buy. This isn't a pullback you want to buy unless you want to lose your money. You want to donate to the children. Give it to the children because they're out here trading too. And eventually this thing is going to drop right back down to this box. So right here is not a dip. It could work out for you, but the probabilities will be heavily against you. We had one leg here, we had another leg here, we had 3 legs. So I mean, how many legs is this octopus gonna grow, right, before shorts take over on it, especially with that catalyst? Oh, on the 5-minute chart, let me see on the 5-minute chart. Zoom in there. 5-minute chart, that still doesn't look like a dip to me. 5-minute chart, this was, you know, big pullback. Then the 5-minute, this just looks like a struggle area. You got wicks going both ways. Let me go and see the 15-minute though. 15-minute, nice pullback off that 768. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. All right, let's see if it can capsize. Still on this trend. Let's see how it gets slammed down here. And the bottom of this is what, 681. So let's see the slammage. There's the slammage. And now we have a nice little downtrend in here. So now we have at least a downtrend. Let's see it go ahead and break down this level 655s. Nice trap setup for the shorts, for sure. Room all the way back down here to 575s if they want to push it that far. And breaking down that original uptrend, and we'll see as it continues to trade, does it get away from this? Has this downtrend that it could retest, but I need to get out of here. So appreciate you guys for tuning in. I'm about to hit the road. PLRZ, nasal spray and all of that, Israeli company. A lot of overarching bad omens for me. So I'm already green on the month, green on the week, just looking for the opportunity that will be able to pay out. So I'm not in any rush. It is what it is. We're just building out the cushion. FTL though. FTL bounced off ATR high, came back up here to the 173s, back into the box. Haven't been watching FTL. Let me see. Let me extend this box. So 165 all the way out here. 165. So it's coming back into the box, hitting that first idea level. May hit the next one too, but 175 up there and with no catalyst. So why is this one outperforming something like PLRZ? Because people know what it is on PLRZ. It's about to get that work. All right, as far as the higher floats, we can do a rotation real quick. So higher floats, we got Nvidia up here, we got Irene still down 4, Google and Apple up here leading in the higher floats that move with range, that move at least $5 a day. But yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'm guessing when I come back, you know, when I sit down at the other office, maybe we'll find something into the open. Maybe this one will be selling off and we'll get some new champion rising up with catalyst. Now, if FTL is the one rising up, we already know the catalyst on it. It's doing a $3 million repurchase program, and they're doing that over the next 24 months. So we got 2 years for this to even matter, right? And so they're buying and, you know, repurchasing 3 million shares, but they are lowering the amount of shares tradable effectively by doing that repurchase. So, you know, looks like they're trying to grow. I don't know if they're going for partnerships or what, but we'll see into the future what's going on there. So that's a little bit weaker news on the day as well. VSIG did do a round trip that we saw, that Malaysian stock came up, went down. SBEV, MNDR, all of those. Okay, it is what it is. All right, so I guess I will follow up with you guys in the Discord in about an hour. That's my, well, a little bit over an hour because that's my drive time. So but yeah, that is it for today. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Be safe out here with these Israeli stocks and all this stuff. Can be very, very unpredictable, but I'm thinking by the time I get back, this thing will have time to do a good little pullback and something else pops up. FTL will be out of business in 2 years. A list of yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, they're repurchasing, so maybe they have a plan for growth. Maybe they have something that's going to change the structure of their business to move them from $1 stock to maybe $100 stock. You have to believe. Have to believe, man. But anyway, I got to get off of here. Appreciate you guys once again. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace. Hmm.